Hey there, Professor Snart checking in as we continue rolling through our English 1102 online class. Moving, remember, twice as fast as we would under the normal 16-week conditions, so we are actually approaching mid-term for us, which is hard to believe. Not quite there yet, but getting pretty close. As I've mentioned before, one of the things to keep in mind is that our course doesn't divide exactly like this, but you will probably have noticed as we get into Unit 6 here that the first roughly half or so of our class is a lot of kind of foundation building as far as doing limited writing assignments, basic, exercises in research or getting familiar with texts that we're reading for the class or that kind of thing. And then, of course, once we get into Unit 7 and beyond Unit 7, we try to bring all of that stuff together in, a full essay. So we have not done a real, full essay or that kind of major writing assignment yet, but we're getting very close. So a quick look at our due dates there. We have just finished up Unit 5, Monday, Feb 3rd. We a quick turnaround to secondary sources, or Unit 6 about secondary sources, or kind of the research part of our class on Thursday. And then a relatively quick turnaround here to Unit 7, which is our first essay. So, as I've mentioned before, it's often a good idea to look more than just one due date ahead, but particularly here, not just looking at those due dates, but I would encourage you, excuse me, at this point, to actually walk into or click into not just Unit 6, but also Unit 7 to see what this essay will be asking of you, and again, to really be conscious of how this unit, Unit 7, once we finally get to it, will be the first opportunity you have through this essay to show me that you are able to pull together the various kind of components or pieces that we've looked at into that cohesive whole. So if you haven't been already, now is a really important time to be looking kind of forward at this the essay that's coming up. Not till Unit 7, but again, we move so quickly that they can be kind of on top of you before you even know it. All right, a little more closely then, Unit 6 has you reading a couple of new short stories for us, and then a fairly straightforward discussion board assignment having you use the COD library databases to find a secondary source, or what's sometimes called a commentary or a critical source, even though it doesn't have to be negative in that sense, but a discussion of one of the stories that we've looked at here. So one of the things that'll be really important as we build these into our essays is that you're finding material that is both relevant and appropriate. So it's appropriate in as much as it's database, so we never want to use just general website material, even if it seems really credible and it's from a site that you would normally trust, like Wikipedia or a major news outlet or whatever that might be. We want to go through the steps of using the databases. So it's pretty much cut or dry. It's not my subjective opinion about is the source you've used appropriate. It just either is from the databases or isn't. So that's one of the really simple things that I'm looking for once we get to that point in our essay writing. The other thing that you want to be careful of is that it's a relevant source. And relevant means that if you are writing an essay about the short story Araby by James Joyce, for example, which is about this kid who's growing up in Ireland and has his first kind of romantic crush and all this stuff. A relevant source for us is a discussion of the short story particularly. It's not something from your psych textbook about child development or emotional responses to stress or something like that. Yeah, that might be kind of related to ideas that are going on in the story, but we're looking for a very particular kind of research source here. And again, it's cut and dry. It's either right or it's wrong. So that's one of the things that I look for immediately when I go to grade essays is, has the student understood what kind of sources we use for our class, and has that person then used them effectively? So Unit 6 is actually very simple to complete. I don't imagine it will take you that long to do. Just follow the directions and read carefully as usual. But it forms one of those really, really foundational and core kind of skills that you'll have to practice in a much more meaningful way when it comes to the essays. You'll actually note that our very first essay in Unit 7 doesn't require the use of sources, but Unit 8, which revises the first essay, does require you to integrate those secondary sources. So using the research stuff in an essay is not something immediate for us, but it's very close to immediate. There's also a short piece here on integrating sources effectively, and it just walks you through a few basic examples. Again, these are the kinds of things that I'll be looking for in your essays. Honestly, whether you're integrating a secondary source or quotation from the primary text, the short story that you're talking about. So Unit 6 is very straightforward. Again, not particularly demanding on your time, but maybe use that sort of extra time, if you have any, to be looking towards Unit 7 and beginning to think about how you want to approach the first essay, the first kind of major writing assignment that we have for the class. Okay, so hopefully everything's going well. If you have questions, concerns, anything comes up, by all means be in touch with me, and I will talk with everybody soon.